as a founder, you can be as messianic as you want to be. You can promise anything about your vision and what you intend into the future, but what you must do is be accurate about the current state of your business. You cannot lie about the deals that you've made, about the current capabilities of your product. So she simply misrepresented where she was when these investors invested. And that was the red line she should not have crossed. I think in that sense, it's a pretty simple case. The piece of this that's interesting is not the case itself, but really the media coverage, because the media wants to portray this case as an indictment of Silicon Valley. And the thing you keep hearing over and over again.
None of us were involved.
Well, just factually, yes, exactly. We weren't involved. But
there's not a single person in Silicon Valley, I think, who put in a single shekel into this thing who actually does this as a real job.
Tim Draper.
Well, he does a seed
Tim
investment.
Draper put in a little bit of money as an angel, and then he didn't put a single dollar in after that. I'm saying, you didn't come to Social Capital or to Craft Ventures or to Sequoia or to TPB or to Google to raise money for this thing. None of that happened.
What's most interesting to me is how does this get to this point? If you're Elizabeth Holmes, you're 19 years old, and you start telling your story, and the more grandiose the story you tell is, the better the reaction you get is, it becomes reinforcing. And the behavior extends a little bit further and a little bit further. Every time she told a story about how incredible this tech was, it's just one drop. You take one drop, it can measure everything. When she simplified it and reduced it to that, and it was such an incredible statement, and she saw the reaction from people, she's like, wow, that works. Let me repeat it. It's like any good salesperson. They figure out what sells, and then they sell it, and then they repeat. What's interesting to me that, you talk about the media. When she went out and told her story and got incredible press coverage because she was a young female doing something that was going to save lives. There was this altruistic Steve Jobs-esque kind of combination here. The media wrote a glowing review of her. And then she said, wow, look, they said something great. Let me go do that again. And she got a bigger media piece written and a bigger media piece. And the more she said, the bigger she said it, the more she claimed she could do, the bigger the story got, the more coverage she got. And the whole thing became this kind of reinforcing cycle. And I do think that the press coverage that she got as she was building this business, which helped her raise capital, helped her attract employees, helped her get Walgreens and Safeway to the table, it allowed her to build the business, but it's exactly what created the narrative that wasn't true. And so the coverage that the press gave her, and we see this every day. You guys all see these top 50 companies, and we all know, having met a lot of these companies, as you go down that list, this 20 companies are total scam companies, they're fraud, they're not going to work, they're grifters, all the stuff that you guys might say about the quality of those businesses. But the press reporter isn't doing diligence. They're not it turns out all the diligence was done after the fact. And then it's like, well, maybe we should go do some diligence. Oh, wait a second. Because the press coverage has now created this hyped story about who and what she is, the diligence actually pays off because you have something to take apart. If she was just a nobody startup that raised $30 million and they're still trying to figure out their way, there would be no value in any reporter doing diligence on her and trying to figure out what was actually there. It was because the story got big that it gave everyone, including John Carreyrou, an incentive. He's the Wall Street Journal reporter who broke all this, an incentive to go in and take this thing apart. And so I think it's really unfortunate and it's really self-reinforcing that the press coverage that created the circumstance here ultimately also enabled the press, to take the thing apart and, land this woman in jail. And I'm not saying she did nothing wrong, but I'm just saying that there's a system here. And the system is set up in such a way that...
Yeah, but she manipulated the press.